Hello, hello. Sorry I'm so close to the camera. I just wanted to do that so I can tag people once it pops up here. Jumping on a little bit early. If I can tag people. There we go. I'll get to tagging here and then I will move my face away from the camera. It's just the way the setup goes. I've got it set up so that you can see me away from the camera. Looks like it's being a little bit difficult to tag people, but working on it. I know there was a few people that said that they had to be away tonight or had other things going on, so I know there'll be some of you watching the replay too. But thanks for tuning in tonight. One of my favorite things to make is raw chocolate. So super excited that you're here tonight and able to tune in. I'm just gonna check my computer here to see comments, and then we'll get ready to rock and roll. It was so awesome to see so many of you that were able to get the ingredients. That's so cool. I was gonna say it's freaking cold here, and I almost stopped, but it's so true. So just the fact that you were able to venture out and get those ingredients is awesome. Of course, the computer's not cooperating with me. I'd really like a new computer. It's on the wish list for sure. We've just got to make that happen. Super frustrating when you're running an online business and you don't have the tools that you need. Computer, definitely on the list. Sherry's in here. She says, hello, madame. And Louise is in here. She says, hi there. Stephanie's in here. Kim, let me know, is in here too. Hello, Kim. Let me know who is making chocolate with me tonight. Thanks for those hearts already. That's awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. Just gonna let it play out here. Whatever the computer's gonna do doesn't affect my mood. Whatever the technology is, it's not going to affect my mood. That was a little crooked and it was bothering me. So, we'll get started right away here. I'm going to kind of work backwards first because, like you did see in my post, I made a batch already today. And then, so I can show you from finished to starting point, if that makes sense. I don't know. Denise says she's making it with me. Drew says I'm making chocolate with you. Sherry says yay for chocolate. And Stephanie says just watching and taking notes. That's awesome. Yeah, if you want to grab a pen and paper to take notes, that's an excellent idea for sure. And Anna says, yeah, chocolate class is so fun. And usually we do these classes in person. And it's a lot of fun, actually. Our chocolate making classes are a lot of fun in person, but this is the next best thing, I suppose, hey? Louise says, making chocolate with you. Thankful I already had ingredients, so no need to make a special trip. That's awesome. And Louise Reeves says, making it too. So those of you who haven't gotten ingredients yet or haven't had a chance to check out the recipe, you'll need some cacao butter. And try your best to find a good quality, unrefined, organic if possible. This one is really great. It's even fair trade. So top of the top for sure. No additives and 100% pure. So there's tons of brands out there. And most of the time the cacao butter is pretty clean. And then cacao powder we talked about yesterday. If you missed our show yesterday, our Q&A yesterday, we talked about the difference between cocoa powder and cacao powder. It's also in the blog, it explains the difference, but this recipe will not work with cocoa powder. So C-O-C-O-A is cocoa powder, cacao powder, C-A-C-A-O. So two different spellings, very close, but two totally different products. So you'll want the all natural cacao powder because that's just the cacao bean chopped up and then made into a powder form. It's not heated and there's nothing added to it, nothing stripped or taken away. This is the cacao bean in powder form. Whereas the cocoa powder that you would find in the baking section of the grocery store, they strip it down. So they heat it to a really high temperature, strip all of the qualities away from it. They add milk ingredients and processed ingredients, and sometimes they even add sugars so that it tastes better and lasts longer. So find your cacao powder at the health food store or in the health section of your grocery store. And then you'll need a sweetener. I like maple syrup, that's one of our favorites, but you can also use honey. I think probably because I'm an East Coast girl, that's what I'm used to. When I grew up, we would just go to our neighbor, or my dad is a salesman. He's an insurance salesman and grew his own business from 0 clients to now a whole kit and caboodle. But anyway, we used to get our maple syrup right from the tree, which is super awesome as kids. This is not right from the tree, but I think that's why I'm a maple syrup fan, is because that's what I grew up on. But honey will work fine too. I'll try my best to get to comments, but if the computer's acting up, just ask again later. I'll check when the video is done, see if I missed any comments. But if you have questions, please put those into the comments for sure. Jen Will Susan's in here. Hello. Sherry says, yes, maple syrup. It's an Eastern tradition. And it was so funny to me that Drew had never seen the tree tapped before, like to get maple syrup. But I suppose if you grew out here, it wouldn't be something you had seen. But it was just such a natural thing for us, right? To go out, you get dressed up and you go out in the woods in the wintertime or in the springtime, not the winter because they're closed in the wintertime. But you go out and you tap the tree and you get your maple syrup. And we used to get it in we'd bring our empty coffee cans and we'd go to our friends or our neighbors, and they'd tap the tree and we would get it, go to the sugar shack and get our own. So Drew says, I just opened my cacao butter package. Wow, that smells like heaven. Oh, I didn't even smell mine. I better open mine. Smell it. Oh, it does smell like heaven. If you've ever smelled like a rancid oil, you'll immediately know, smelling this smells so good. All natural. So nice, so refreshing. Kitten cadoodle. You never heard that expression, Drew? After all of these years of being together, I still surprise Drew with some of my expressions. So I do not have a crock pot. Let's get this melting. I do not have a crock pot, and I'm meant to borrow one, but I forgot. So I'm just going to put it low on the stove. But let's get melting our cacao butter. So take your cacao butter. Recipe says 3/4 of a cup of cacao butter. But you guys know me by now, not much of a measurer. So it doesn't have to be exact. This is a cup, measuring cup. So I try to fill it 3/4 of the way full. If you are an exact measurer, by all means, go ahead. Measure it exactly. And then I'm gonna grab my pot here, throw the cacao butter in there. If you have a crock pot, it'll take a little bit longer to melt. But crock pot's better because it's a nice even temperature. It doesn't get too hot. This is raw chocolate. So if we heat the chocolate too much, it's going to change the properties. So it won't be raw anymore. And then also if it gets too hot, it's going to change the consistency. So your chocolate is going to get very, what's the word? It's going to be like jelly. It's not going to break evenly. It's going to kind of be jelly. Not good. So I'm just going to put this on low, and while I'm talking, we'll melt that. So super low temp for this one. Since I'm putting it on the stove. If you do have a crock pot, you can put it in there, but it'll take a little bit longer to melt. I also like to add a little bit of coconut oil because this will make it a little bit more shiny. So again, I don't measure. I just put a little dab, maybe a tablespoon of coconut oil in while the cacao butter is melting. So that'll get us started, you guys. And while that's starting, I'm going to show you my finished one, my peanut butter one. So this is my finished tray that I made this afternoon, the peanut butter. So all I did was poured the chocolate on here and then drizzled the peanut butter on there and sprinkled a little bit of salt, Himalayan salt on top. And now came right out of the freezer. So now all we have to do, put it on a slant so a little bit so maybe you can see it better. Now all we have to do is break it up. So I have washed my hands. But you'll notice it just breaks up into pieces, and we call that the bark. So then you have these little pieces of peanut buttery chocolate goodness. Better try it. So good. So I just used natural peanut butter and drizzled it on when it was a liquid form. Sprinkled some Himalayan salt on top, threw it in the freezer. Then it just breaks, the bark just breaks right off. It's so delicious. Peanut butter is one of my favorite ones. For sure. Who likes peanut butter chocolate? So I won't stand here in front of you and break it all, but you get the point. Because the one that I'm going to make tonight is cranberry pistachio, but you won't get a chance to see me break it because it won't be frozen yet. But you get the point. It breaks up into little pieces into bark. If you want it to be squares, you could also cut it if you wanted to be that precise, I suppose. I'm just going to wash my hands. Got my hands a little dirty. So it doesn't take long to melt the cacao butter. It's already starting to melt. I'll get to some comments here. Jamie says, can I dip strawberries in it? Absolutely. It's so delicious. So you would just take your fresh strawberry, dip it into the raw chocolate, put it on a pan with parchment paper, and let it freeze. So delicious. Or you can eat them fresh if you want. If you don't want the chocolate to be hard, if you're okay with it being melted, just dip it in and eat it. That'd be good too. Anna says, ooh, that looks so good. I'm drooling. You did such a fancy job with the peanut butter. It was almost too pretty to break. Oh, it's really not that hard. I drizzled the peanut butter in rows, and then I just took a knife and made swirls through it. That's all. I'm not a chocolatier by any means. Cindy's in here. Hey, Cindy. And Drew said probably hi, but I'm not sure what he was commenting on because I can't see all the comments. But if I missed your comment, just go back and say, like, you can write it again because I can't see them all on here, unfortunately. Need a new computer, Drew. Wink, 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 wink. And see, I don't know what it's doing now. So I'm going to use, I chopped up some pistachios for our chocolate tonight, and then some dried cranberries. Notice these dried cranberries are brown, right? They're not bright red. What is that brand? I don't think it matters, but the conventional brand, Craisin, that makes craisins, like, try and stay away from those ones. If they're bright red, they put, they add things to it so that the color stays intact, because normally when fruit dries, it goes brown, right? That's how you'll know it's unsulfured and pure. So make sure that when you're buying dried fruit that it's not bright colored, like apricots, for example. If they're bright orange, not just dried apricots. They put some things in there so it stays that orangey color. So make sure that when you're buying your dried fruit, it's unsulfured and naturally dried, sun-dried. And then a lot of times they'll add, frustrates me, but they'll add sugar, like refined sugar, to cranberries. So make sure you read the ingredients, not the nutrition label. Make sure you read the ingredients. Make sure there's no refined sugar in your dried fruit as well. So that's what we're gonna do tonight, is make cranberry pistachio. See, I lost the comments again. I see there's a bunch of you tuning in here. So thank you for spending this very cold evening with me. It's almost done melting, but while I'm waiting for it to melt, I'm going to measure out 1 cup of cacao powder. So I am going to measure it out. me who does not measure. I'm gonna measure out 1 cup of the cacao powder. And then I'm ready to stir it in. It would be helpful if you had a whisk as well. So if you want to grab that when we're ready to stir that in, you can grab the whisk. I just don't have one in my kitchen. Couldn't find it. Don't know where it went. Had one at one time. Don't know where it is. But if you have one, grab one. Drew says 3/4 of a cup. How much cacao butter do I need to melt? Couldn't hear you before, but I got a speaker now. Yeah, 3/4 of a cup. We have the recipe as well, so you can always go back and refer to the recipe. If you ever need to find a recipe, you can either go in the search tab in the group. So if you were looking for the raw chocolate recipe, you could go in the search tab in our group and type raw chocolate. That'll bring up the recipe. But you can also go to our website, trueformlife.com, and you can get all of our recipes there. Just go to the search bar on our website. If you're looking for smoothies, type in smoothies. If you're looking for raw chocolate, type in raw chocolate, and that'll bring up that. I didn't put enough in there. A lot of people were like, where are your recipes? Or on our website, trueformlife.com. It seems like we have to say it a lot. But trueformlife.com is where you'll find all of our recipes. I did spill some raw chocolate. Oops, some raw cacao powder. Melody says, what are the list of ingredients on your cacao powder? Cacao. That's it. That's it. You just want to make sure that it has 1 ingredient. Organic raw cacao. That is the ingredient. 1 ingredient. That's all that should be in your cacao powder. Because we want foods that are the ingredient, that don't, and that not foods that have ingredients. So like when you go to the store and you buy lettuce, that is the ingredient, right? It's not a food. You go to like the cereal section and grab a box of cereal, that's food that has a bunch of ingredients. But we want food that is the ingredient. Oh, thanks, Drew. He dropped that recipe in the comments if you're looking for it, if you didn't have a chance to get on there. I forgot my apron again. Whoops. I don't have my fancy one here anyway. It's at the beach. Maybe Drew should put it on for workout tomorrow morning. That'd be funny. Okay, we're melted. We are good and melted. Doesn't take long at all to melt. So, gotta work quickly. That's the problem. If we wait too long and it cools, then we're gonna have issues with the chocolate. It's gonna go clumpy and kind of jelly. So I'm gonna prepare my pan right away too. Got my parchment paper. So make sure you pour it onto parchment paper. And a cookie sheet. So I got my cookie sheet. When I get my new computer, maybe I should get a bigger kitchen too. Oh boy, but we make do with what we have. So I've already chopped up my pistachios and my cranberries, but you know, you can add anything. Like I did the peanut butter and salt one. Hemp seeds are really nice as well, sprinkled on the chocolate. Almonds, almond bark, that's really nice too. Drew says, oh man, I don't have the parchment paper. I completely dropped the ball on that one. Whoops, do you have, Drew, I'm pretty sure you have one of those things. I don't know where I put ours. Ah, here. Pretty sure you have one of these things, Drew. Do you not? You could use this if you have one. This is like a reusable piece of parchment paper. Not really sure what you call them. But we bake cookies and things on here. But Drew, grab that if you have it. If not, just hope for the best. You might be like scraping your chocolate off of it. She needs these things, hubby. I do need these things. Silicone mat. Yes, Shani, you could use that. Anna says, oh my gosh, you want food that is the ingredient. Years ago when I really started looking at labels, I looked at the big store frozen chicken breasts we used to buy. Had about 6+ ingredients. One of them was corn syrup and some I couldn't read. Yikes. And chicken. That's crazy. Okay, remember how I said we have to move quickly? I didn't exactly do that, did I? We'll be fine though. It hasn't cooled down that much. So grab your sweetener, maple syrup or honey, whichever one you're using. 6 tablespoons in there. If you want it to be a little bit sweeter, then add a few more tablespoons. If you want it to be less sweet, then do 4 or 5. I haven't been counting, but I think 1 more to make 6. Not a very good measurer. So I'm just going to grab, you will use a whisk. I cannot find my whisk, so I'm going to use this thing. I'm going to wipe it off first. Had coconut oil on it. Just kind of swish around your melted butter, cacao butter, and maple syrup in there. And then I like to add about half of my cacao powder. This is my cacao powder, 1 cup. I just sprinkle that in there, about half of it, and you want to move quickly with your whisk. Don't have the proper tools on me. Yeah, so move quickly with your whisk, and then once about half of the powder is in there, you can add the rest, moving nice and quickly. A whisk would mean it's not as lumpy. Oh, just kind of want to drink it. But now's the time to grab a strawberry and dip it in there. Yummy! I don't have strawberries. Or any fruit. This would like kind of work for a fondue, actually, like a chocolate fondue that you don't even really have to feel guilty about, because it's all like raw ingredients, and cacao has so many health benefits. Antioxidants being one of the main health benefits. Maybe Drew, you could add some more in the comments. When we were in Sri Lanka, we actually ate the cacao right off of the tree. This little village kid like climbed up the tree, the cacao tree, just to the top, grabbed us a cacao fruit and climbed down, and he asked us, he was like ripping it open and we were eating it up. It's pretty cool. So the cacao bean is inside of the fruit. It's like the pit of the little fruit. Okay, so now I'm gonna get rid of this board, bring this over so you can see, and I'm going to, now you'd want a spatula. You're going to, hopefully you can see that, pour that onto your parchment paper. Get all of the goodness. And if Drew was here, he would lick my spatula. He always does that. Try to get it all. But even if you kept some on the spatula to dip fruit in, you could do that too. That'd be yummy. And then, I'm going to do that. I'm going to lick that after the show. And it says, ooh, chocolate fondue, new recipe. Imagine a frozen banana dipped in there. Oh my gosh, it would be so good. And it says, try a fork if you don't have a whisk. I think that spatula actually worked pretty good. I don't have any clumpies. So I'm just moving the chocolate around so I get a nice, so it's nice and even on the parchment paper. So I get a nice coverage on the parchment paper. Oh, it's so fun. So fun. And then you can even take your spatula if you want it to be nice and even, but just move in circles so you don't get lines in there. But if you want more coverage on your parchment paper, just move the chocolate around. Oh, so fun. Chocolate's fun. You can move it in circles. But you want it to be fairly thin. Because if it's too thick, it's not going to break up very nicely. So, like, thin, but you don't want it too thin either. Nice even thinness. Let's see. I think that's all the comments. Then I'm just going to take my pistachios. I think I chopped too many. I'm going to sprinkle those on top. It's okay. I'll eat the pistachios. There's too many. I like a lot of pistachios, though. Drew's favorite nut. Well, one of them. We eat lots of nuts. And then now the cranberries, sprinkle those on top, and then into the freezer it will go. So the coconut oil has made it pretty shiny. Looks good. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering. Ooh-wee. And then there we have it, you guys. Woo! Look at that, Valentine's Day chocolate. Chocolate that you don't have to feel one bit guilty about. I mean, I wouldn't eat the whole tray. Then we might have a problem. But you can have a nice slice or a nice piece of chocolate without feeling guilty about it, because there's no refined sugar and there's no yucky ingredients. The cacao powder, one ingredient. Cacao butter, one ingredient. So maple syrup's one ingredient. So you have 3 things in your chocolate and you're only having 3 ingredients. If you look at the back of a chocolate bar, holy smoly, there's probably 20 ingredients. So you don't have to feel guilty about this at all. So a lot of times we will break it up into the bark, put it in a plastic bag, like a freezer bag, or an airtight container would work too. You don't have to use those plastic bags. We try not to use those very much. Store it in the freezer. Then you get a little chocolate craving. You can go over to the freezer, grab a piece, and voila. And it's not super sweet. Like, it's sweetish, but it's not super sweet. So you just need like a little tiny piece and you're satisfied. Cindy says dried bananas work great. That's awesome. So that's it, you guys. This is gonna go into the freezer. I suggest making it ahead of time so that so it has time to freeze. But it really doesn't take that long in the freezer, but I did that one around the peanut butter one. I did around 3 o'clock. So it had 3 to 4 hours in the freezer, and it broke off really nicely. But it shouldn't take that long in the freezer at all, and then it's ready to go. So something like if you came home on Friday night and wanted to make some chocolate, you could do it and then have chocolate as your snack later on. You could totally do that. And it says, so what do you think a pen costs for all those ingredients compared to non-healthy chocolate? This is a great choice and looks so hard, even fun to make. Yeah, it's not, so not hard. No, not hard at all. So easy. I have no idea what it costs to make. No idea. But I do know that it lasts a long time. Like one tray, yeah, like please don't go and eat the whole tray. That would be kind of defeating the purpose, right, of making the healthy chocolate. It's like when you make a batch of healthy muffins and you don't sit down and eat all 12. But I really don't know about cost. I'm not sure. But if somebody else priced it out, I'd be interested to know that for sure. But chop that up or break that up, put it in the freezer, and then you can have little bits at a time. If you like spicy, like if you like some heat, we've also sometimes added, not to this concoction, I wouldn't add that to pistachio and cranberry, but we've added a little cayenne pepper and sea salt. That one's nice too, a little bit of heat. Drew likes heat and chocolate together, like a little cayenne pepper in his brownies. Healthy brownies, of course. Drew really likes that. Melody says, I'm looking forward to making chocolate. Thank you. You're welcome. I find that really good quality dark chocolate, you only need a small amount to be satisfied. That is so true. So true. A lot of people would eat like a whole chocolate bar, like a conventional, like whatever those chocolate bars are called, right? The refined sugar kind. You'd eat a whole one, but in this you just need a little piece and you'd be good. Like that little piece I had. So a couple of things before I let you go. I wanted to remind you guys that we do still have a few Valentine's Day packages available too. So if you're looking for a Valentine's present for a friend or a family member or a spouse, we have about 3 packages left, maybe 4. 3 or 4 packages left. So we do have a limited quantity left, but we still have some available if you're interested. Really great present, giving the gift of So those are available. Jen says, my butter is melting. I'm so excited. I know, it's exciting. You have to be a little bit patient because you don't want it to, you don't get impatient and turn the heat up because then you're going to ruin it. And then Louise Reeves says, thanks, Dorothy. Great way to spend a cold Monday evening. Sure is. Sure is. You're very welcome, you guys. I hope that this gives you some ideas on how to have a little bit healthier of a Valentine's Day. All of these all of these holidays have become, or most of our holidays, I should say, have become so commercialized with conventional candies and chocolates. But we can do our part to still make it special and still have treats, but in a healthy way. So you can still have your chocolate, but make your own raw chocolate instead of buying your refined sugar chocolates. You can still have cupcakes, for example, but maybe check out the recipe I posted on my personal page today, which was the quinoa chocolate cupcakes. So good. No flour, no refined sugar, no butter. They're so delicious. I make that one all the time and people don't even know that it's healthy if you don't tell them. And then you, by eating this way too, like eating the healthy chocolate and the healthy cupcakes, you don't get that sugar hangover, is what Drew and I call it. So, for example, on Valentine's Day, a lot of times we indulge in the sweet treats and all of the things, and then the next day we feel cranky or groggy and not as much, low energy. That's the sugar. That's what sugar does to us. So that's why it's so nice to have options that we can still have our sweet treats, but that'll actually give us energy, because remember I said that the raw chocolate has lots of antioxidants. Antioxidants equals energy. Imagine chocolate that's going to boost your energy. Can you imagine? Drew says, mine is in the freezer. Thanks, Dorothy. That was awesome. You're welcome. Does it stay soft if it's not in the freezer? Yes, that's a great question. I forgot to mention that. It's got to stay in the freezer. Best in the freezer. I wouldn't do fridge either. It's not cold enough. So if you are serving it or having it for guests, I suppose we're not really having guests much these days, but if you were having people over, or even sharing it with your family, you take it right out of the freezer and then serve it, because it's going to melt. Like, it was just, as I was breaking up the bark, it was just melting in my hand. That's why I had to wash my hands. But I had it out of the freezer probably like 10 minutes before the show, where I should have just grabbed it out of the freezer and broken it up and then put it back in the freezer. Shauna says, those cupcakes are yummy and can be a cake. Yes, one of my friends, he just, last month, completed 100 5Ks in a row, 100 days of 5Ks. And anyway, I made him that cake to celebrate his 100th run day. And most people I made it as a cake, and most people didn't even know I was helping. Drew says, join me live for workout tomorrow morning. That's right. So tomorrow morning, Tuesday and Thursdays this week, 6:30 a.m. Mountain Time for a live workout with Drew. Those have been so fun, you guys. So I hope you have a chance to join us live tomorrow for that. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch ya next week for Cooking with Dorothy. Hope you have a lovely Valentine's Day, and I hope you enjoy your chocolate. I don't know what to do with all my chocolates. I don't have Drew here to eat it. Oh, look at that crazy hair. I didn't even know it was sticking straight up. It's from wearing my hat today. Wore a toque all day long. All right, you guys, as soon as I figure out how to shut this live off, I will let you go. Oh, there's the button down there. For some reason, it disappeared. Not jiving with the technology tonight. If I missed any of your comments, I'll go back here right away and look at them. But if I completely drop the ball and miss one of your questions, just ask it in the group. Like, make a new feed in the group, and I'll answer it for sure. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will catch you tomorrow morning. Live workout. Let's go. Oh, and if you want Valentine's Day packages, Only 3 left, so make sure you let us know right away. Bye, guys. Have a good night.